Okay, guys, can everyone hear me? I guess so. Good. For today, first of all, something to me. Hans Borutta, my name. Last name is a bit difficult. Only remember maybe Hans. I'm Channel Account Manager for the EMEA region. So, yeah, like kind of most of our partners are in this region. Today, I want to tell you something about like how we call it the art of prospecting. Well, I know that most of you guys, I think, are already long in the business, so I think I don't have to tell you so many things, how to do some things. But maybe I can give you some tips how we do it, what we kind of have for experiences, and maybe you can use them. I would be glad. To start with, here you see like a quick agenda. I would start with some figures, facts about like how partners are doing it right now. Go over to some sales strategies and prospecting methodology, how we call it at Odoo, and of course finish with a conclusion. So to start with some figures about what we found in our statistics. So we took an average of 300 partners of the EMEA region from different countries, ready, silver, gold, so quite a nice mix. And we found that 7% is a conversion rate from a lead opportunity into a contract. So if you compare this, I think, with some other companies, I think it's quite nice. 4.3 average projects every partner in the EMEA region has. So these, of course, are some small ones, some big ones, but I think the size is not that important. I think it's important, like how nice the project is and what we can do for the client. 4 good leads normally you should receive from Odoo for every partner. So to see these figures, go over to some facts. We really found that a lot of our partners really rely on the leads and opportunities they received from Odoo. First of all, to do their normal business, but also to grow. And this is also what is important for us, account managers in channel, that we see that our partners grow from ready silver to gold, but also in the size of the company. To these, we can say in general, you see that the inbound is of course lower than the outbound. So therefore, we can tell you, focus on these, stay really active on these leads we sent you. I think there are some nice companies, some nice clients coming up out of it, and it's of course having also the lowest cost for you. To increase, of course, your visibility, we want also, let's say, of course, our partners, that they go out, that they simply also go out on the market, see if there are maybe some clients, maybe in their contacts, who use, let's say, an old system and could have a look for a new one. And of course, for these, it's helpful to have good references and how we call it also the customer success stories. We are always happy if partners come up with some success stories, and we can publish them on our website, you can publish them on your website, and yeah, clients can see them, can see, okay, what you did and how good it worked. And of course, this is sometimes really the key to win a new client, to really say, okay, Odoo is a good product, and of course, you as a partner. Also, please update your website, meaning that you put a big Odoo logo, that people see, okay, you're Odoo partner. If you want to ready silver, gold, we have some nice logos there. And use, let's say, also media like LinkedIn and Facebook. LinkedIn is quite useful to see how is the position of a person who calls you in a company. Is he decision maker? Is he budget owner? And so on and so on. Try to investigate also something about the companies you're approaching. So these, for the beginning, what we found out are some software sales strategies. So what we said, okay, it could be useful for you. And in general, we have 2 key strategies there. So first of all, it's a low-level entry point strategy. So in general, you try to promote product features of Odoo at the client. So and important here is that the client finds it kind of that it's an advantage for them, so that he really says, wow, this is useful. And the second one is that you have these advanced strategic enablers, and for these it's sometimes complex because of course you have to see, okay, well, how is the client doing it? So you have to use some consulting, you have to advise the client on the processes and see, okay, how is he doing his business? So here you see a nice overview. On the left and the right you see the first and the second one. Important here is if you see, for example, the low level entry point is, let's say, these two things. If you compare the strategic with the low level. To start with the low level, you have a fast implementation. For this, it's kind of important that you, in all your selling activities, in all your communication, that you try to sell a feature. This is the first key. And for this, important is that you listen to the client, see what is he telling you, what does he needs, what is, let's say, he doing right now, and see how you can help the client, how you can, let's say, promote a feature which makes his business better and that he kind of gets more efficiency. So you try to find this admitted need. It's sometimes difficult, especially when well, clients don't tell you that much, but try to really find these and see how you do it. For these, important is that you have kind of a short sales cycle. So you find this admitted need. Of course, you have to check if it's really this need. And then you kind of propose the client with a solution. So you implement it at the client and you have kind of these fast implementation. And Odoo is, I think, very good for it, but it's kind of in the standard. Not so much developments, quite standard, but it helps the client. On the other side, if you see the strategic enablers, it all goes around the long implementation. What you do there is also that you see, okay, you sell a solution, but you first have to advise and you have to also make, let's say, a consulting for the client. So meaning you see, okay, how is the client doing his processes? What can he do better? Maybe you change some processes. So this is really sometimes fundamentally change for the client and of course difficult. So you also need there someone who kind of course supports you within the company so that you really see, okay, we have the willingness of the management and so on and so on. And then of course you create a need. So you see, okay, these are the processes and you find this need and say, this we can do better. And you can do it with Odoo, of course. So you have, of course, long sales cycle and a long implementation. Sometimes like a lot of customization, a lot of developments, but these can be good for you. And you can sell, of course, your services for the technical side, but also for the consulting and the advisory. So what we were asking us, okay, how can you do this? So we come up with the prospecting methodology. In general, what you do are like kind of, yeah, in this case that you say, you should not, let's say, prospect looking for an ERP need. Not like that you kind of sell a whole ERP. What you should is kind of that you say, okay, I look for different apps. And this is also what Odoo is doing, and you see it also with right now our model, that you see, okay, what apps can help the client, what can you do there, and not like the full system. Sometimes I really look for every app and every, let's say, problems the client have, and maybe do it one after each other. So what we said is like really important is also like in your verbal communication. So when you speak with the clients, if you make demos, we did it here for the calling, so that you really have, let's say, a marketing plan. So you have to design this marketing plan. You know, Odoo has some marketing material, but use these also for your market, depending what clients you have, what your market needs. Take this marketing plan and combine it with your marketing plan. So of your company, show the client, okay, what you can do and what you can do in combination with Odoo. Identify for these, of course, your target market. So know, okay, what are your preferred clients? Some partners of ours have a really diverse portfolio of clients, but maybe it's advisable to see, okay, I have an experience in a certain field and I look for clients of this field and I know what they're doing. And this, of course, gives you also a strong selling argument. Create, of course, an ideal prospect profile. So if someone contacts you and he tells you he's a HR manager or he's a sales manager, that you have a prospect profile per type of client, person who calls you, and that you know, okay, what are these questions? What are the pain points of these people? Give them some numbers and also have, let's say, some questions ready, what you can ask these people. Like really tell them, okay, I had, let's say, people in a similar position in a similar company, and I helped them in a certain way. Use numbers, try to investigate how you can help them, how you can save costs, and of course, money is important here. So if you tell them, we made it that a company saved, I know 20%, tell this to the guys. They will listen, of course, to you. Know their pain points. To know their pain points, of course, it's important to speak with them, see, okay, what they're doing. Some clients don't tell you that much at the beginning. Try to ask clever questions to hear, okay, what are they doing? Develop elite qualification questions. Important is there also in combination with a prospect profile to see, okay, which questions are you asking to which person? To a budget owner, you ask different things than to the decision maker or the user of the system. So see how you do it and have, let's say, different questions ready there. What we did here is like that you have kind of, for example, a target market of service companies from 50 to 250 employees. So think, okay, what can these companies have as an assumed pain point? Let's say it's timesheet. So it can be that a service manager or HR manager asks you and say, well, I have these and these problems, and tell them, okay, you can use timesheet. It's more efficient, you know what your guys are doing, and so on and so on. So prepare for these, of course, these call sheets, the questions, some numbers, and of course have a nice marketing ready. Explain them also how easy you can implement it. Try to make it simple. What we did here also, and I think this is important also to approach new clients, is try to make a reference calling. What we mean with it is like that you have really this connection to the client. We are selling a lot online. We are doing demos on Skype, demo on whatever online platforms, but try to get, let's say, an access to the client, an emotional aspect. So try to connect to the client, speak to them, tell them, hey, I did already things with clients similar to you. So he listens to you and he knows what you are talking about. So what we did here is, I prepared like some small stuff to give you an example. This is Hans Borutta from Odoo. You and I haven't spoken before, but the reason why I'm calling you is because over the last year I've been talking with people in your position with a company similar to you. So you see, tell them you did already some things like this, you know what you're talking about. Of course, it's difficult maybe at the beginning when you're a fresh partner and you don't have that many experiences. But check out what companies were you already doing business with and try to use them as a target profile. One of the main concerns they shared with me was the risk of lost revenue and missed targets for not having all timesheets invoiced on a timely manner. So you see, you come up with numbers, with money, too high costs, and so on and so on. This is very important for business people. They basically told me they didn't have a centralized system for people to fill in their timesheets electronically that was linked to the invoicing system. So you can say, okay, this is the power of Odoo. We can connect different apps, we connect different parts of the company with one system. So use the different apps already there. Now, since we have been able to address this issue, can I ask you if this is a problem you recognize as well, and if you would be interested to hearing how we did. So you see, try to listen to the people, see what they tell you, and then you know, okay, what's the pain point? It can be that it's wrong, but it can be that you have a hook. So out of these, you can, of course, have two possible outcomes. You have the hook, you can have, let's say, a good feeling with a client, and of course, it can go on. It can also say that the client says, well, we have already some other software we don't need. This is, of course, bad, but let's see. So with the first one, you can say, okay, try to explore the impact of the pain. Quantify it, financial numbers, money, costs, and so on and so on. You can ask, for example, why does it happen? How often does it happen? How much missed revenue are we talking about? What share of total revenue, and so on and so on. So everything around financial numbers and so on. What is also key is here to see, okay, what are the stakeholders? But not only the stakeholders, the normal users, but also who are the decision makers. So try to see, is the person you are in contact with, especially when it's a big corporation, really the decision maker or the budget owner? Or is he only, let's say, a normal project manager? Does he has, let's say, the power to decide? If you don't have it, try to get it. So you have to negotiate there, of course, sometimes. So Important is also in some big corporations that you have a sponsor or someone who supports you. What it means is, if, let's say, a project manager comes to you, try to tell him, okay, I make a demo to you. If you like it, we both go to your boss, to the CEO, COO, CTO, whatever. So that the CTO or the big boss sees, okay, my employee is really thinking about making this company better. And you have, of course, 2 sponsors, and you can speak directly to the power, to the people who have to decide who has the budget, and so on and so on. So try to get these, otherwise sometimes difficult to negotiate and takes, of course, time. So try to build up also a relationship. However, if, of course, it's not working, let's say, properly, important is also that you disqualify. So this is also something what you have to see on the long-term view. What it means is, it can happen that the clients say, we have already some software, we don't need a new software. This can happen. What you can do is, for example, is you ask still some questions about what IT they have. Try to get as much information. Try to see, okay, can we use this maybe in the future? Can we say, okay, maybe in a year, maybe this guy is going to another company, and then he reminds, there's Odoo, and there's you as a partner. So you can connect with him once again, and you have the info, and you're already speaking with this person, so it's, of course, easier than approaching them once again new. See also that you have, let's say, a good relationship. Say, hey, maybe I'll call you once again if I have a similar project. Maybe then they are interested. So look on the long-term view, look on the long-term value of the client, and maybe they come back. Important, of course, there is also don't fish around for opportunities. If you feel, okay, the client doesn't want and he has enough, don't make it too complicated. Also say goodbye, maybe you call him later, and well, the next call is waiting. A tip for you in this sense is also try to build a story for each Odoo app. So what it means is, like, here I have like a few examples. So let's say there's a sales manager calling you for missed forecast. You know it's CRM. So try to build a small story around it. Or try to have a small story about, let's say, what normally sales managers have for pain points. The same you see for warehouse management system, for purchasing, missed margins for not buying at the best price, accounting, productivity loss, or e-commerce, and so on and so on. So try to have something ready, the same like the questions you ask, but also have a story, and especially important are there the numbers. The numbers and give them to the people. So this is in general what we kind of put together, and what is also important from our experience. So to conclude with, well, what I said already, prepare well for calls and for demos. I think the nice thing in Odoo is that it can be easy and it can have a wow effect. So what you have to do is, if you make a demo or a call, try to bring this wow effect also to the people. Explain them how different we are from other ITs. So this is something really important, and try to build this relationship. Have the access to the power, have the access also to a sponsor in the company, see how you can connect with them. Keep it simple. So in all sense, especially when you speak about your services, about the developments, about the implementation, show how simple it is. Don't make it too complicated. Show, of course, that you make great services, that you make nice developments, but keep it simple. Know the pricing of Odoo. I think you all guys heard that we changed some things. So know these. I mean, connect there with your account manager, of course. And also know what the value of your services are. So if you make consulting services, advisory, and so on, these can be good prices, and I think a good margin for you. See also if it's possible to sell the client's monthly service packages. So it means that at the beginning, maybe you have a bit more work. You have maybe more developments, more implementation costs, and so on and so on. But you can make, let's say, 3 years, 5 years, I don't know how long contract, and you get a steady income per month from a client for your services. So this is quite nice, and you don't have, let's say, the sales fluctuations. See how you can sell your consulting services. Of course, a lot of you have a lot of experience in IT, but maybe you worked in other companies before. You have an experience there. You know how other big corporations did it. Try to use this experience and make also consulting of similar companies, or try to see how process can be made easier and more efficient. Connect, of course, if you see some clients are maybe a bit tricky and difficult to approach with your account manager. This is our job. I think right now we have kind of every language of the EMEA region. So in general, you should always get an account manager who speaks even the language of the client in whatever country it is. I guess for the other offices, it's similar. And it's sometimes helpful to see that you approach the client together, and the client has also a good feeling. The client knows, aha, I have a good partner, he's a well-prepared partner from Odoo, but I have also a direct contact directly to Odoo. Of course, if you are good in developing, try to develop some apps. You saw what we have now, the API for services. Try to develop some things, and of course what you can do, sell them on the App Store. Sell them on the App Store, but also you can say connect with other partners. Maybe you can sell them, maybe they have a project where your app, your development is helpful, and you can of course make some good revenue out of it. Well, so this is my quick and quite short talk about how we do it at Odoo. I hope you liked it, and yeah, afterwards I think we have still a bit time to ask some questions, if you have. Thank you.
Implemented any lead scoring activities in your system?
In general, yes. So how we have it, for example, is that we see what the email address, for example, is. Is it like a company email address, or is it, I don't know, Gmail, Hotmail, the normal stuff? We check, of course, if a telephone number is provided, if the number is correct. If there's something, of course, for all the different countries, it's sometimes difficult, but in general, for the EMEA region, we have these. So we have, let's say, different scores, and this is also how we measure, okay, how good a lead and how good an opportunity is.
But you don't add point, for example, for people that clicking newsletter or doing some social activities or any other activity on the behavior of what the lead actually is doing?
Well, in general, let's say we don't have these. Because, you know, when a client or like someone who is interested, registered on the website, comes to us, of course, we have them as a new lead. If the lead, like the email address, telephone number, or the name is already in the system, of course, both leads or opportunities will be merged. So we have, let's say, of course, a track record. And if, of course, we were already in contact or we did some emailing or whatever, both things will put together. So these we see. But it's not like that you get some points or whatever. But in general, how we do it, when we send, let's say, manually some opportunities or leads to partners, we of course give a scoring. Plus, we also, let's say, connect directly with the partners and see how we can work together. Any other questions? Yes.
Bigger companies need more services, and almost they already have many of those services. And one of your selling strategies, or prospecting strategies, is to look for the apps first. So try to find a major pain point in one app and only sell CRM or only sell it. But then you get a lot of integration questions with all the other services that they have, and they can't use Odoo yet for those integration things because they have all those other services already. How do you deal with that when you talk with the prospects? Because then you get a lot of like a snow thing coming down with integration, consulting, development, and then the project suddenly gets very complex and you're only still prospecting and figuring out if you can sell something.
Yeah. Well, in general, how we do it, let's say, with bigger clients is also that you start maybe with one or two apps, and that you show, okay, there is, let's say, the interaction. You can integrate it. You can integrate it also maybe with other systems, what they want to keep. So see that it's, let's say, easy to connect. But for bigger companies, corporations, I would advise not to make, let's say, everything at all. Because this is, let's say, this big bang approach, what we don't like, and I think what is also not that successful. So then I think it's best to focus there on 1, 2 apps max. Start maybe also with smaller departments, which can integrate it first, and then you do it. Of course, we have to see if you can make it already and say, okay, maybe you have, let's say, bigger departments or like the whole company is using it, but then maybe for one app or like for a few apps only. You know, so you have maybe a bigger user number, but only, let's say, a few apps, and then afterwards you get more. Yeah, please.
My question is about disqualifying. I think kind of as soon as you have a first call with the customer, you get your hopes a little bit high. You start to be invested in it, right? How do you detach yourselves from this? And maybe a supplementary question is, how do you, the customer may actually tell you that he's kind of interested. He may give you the signal, but you don't want to waste too much time because he's not ready to buy. What has your successful strategy been to follow up? What process have you used, and how did Odoo help? Like, are there tools and facilities in Odoo to do these follow-ups maybe 6 months later?
Well, we have a good CRM, right? I think it's easy, you can include. But let's say from my daily work, how I do it. You know, you have like, let's say, a next activity date, depending also different activities. So how I do it, for example, is I make me these notes. I have also, let's say, in the title, different codes for, let's say, clients who are really highly interested. So meaning they close tomorrow, or I don't know, in half a year, so that I see these. And I use, let's say, the next activities, which I put, let's say, in due time, and use, let's say, an expected closing date. So what it means is like when I, of course, know, okay, a client is in general interested, but maybe it's in version 12, and I put it next year. I don't put it, let's say, in lost, or I totally forget it, but I put it next year. Try to save the information. This is maybe sometimes difficult to still remember, but keep it and then make, let's say, a call in half a year or something and see if maybe some situation changed.
Mm-hmm. And do you use the same sales process and strategy for selling a project and selling just the license, just the enterprise or online license?
Well, for us, in general, you can say we have, let's say, some clients who only buy the license and don't interact at all with us. But this is, let's say, mostly going then over the website, and let's say there's no physical contact with Odoo, so kind of no person at ours. So everything which goes, let's say, with a person directly here at Odoo, you can say it's a project. We want to know, okay, what is happening at the client, what are the implementation steps, and of course connect also with the partners and see how good this works. But it depends from partner to partner. Some partners make it, let's say, a bit more on their own, and let's say without Odoo, and some make it really close with their account managers. This depends.
What's the average sales cycle for you guys? Months?
Well, you have, let's say, some clients who call you and say, we only want to have a license. It goes in 1 week. Let's say like this, but in this moment where there have to be some developments, there have to be some customizations with, let's say, Odoo Studio or whatever, I would say 6 weeks, something like this. And depending how big the client is and also how many users, it can take, I don't know how long. I mean,
after 6 weeks, you can still disqualify. You can still not have it.
Well, let's try to not use the time you invested, like use it, let's say, in a good way, that you say, okay, I invested already this time and maybe in the future I can use it once again. I mean, it's a question. I mean, it depends also how much you have to do, but of course when you invest a lot of time in the client, it's sometimes of course demotivating, but you always should say, well, there's a lifetime value of the client, maybe he's coming back.
You keep investing the whole time, right?
In general, yes.
Yeah. Do you measure this in Odoo? How much time do you spend on a certain
Well, not us. Let's say not us, like personally, that we say, okay, there are so many hours, so many whatever things, but you see, of course, a call history, an email history, and so on and so on. Good. We still have time, or? Okay. Any last question, maybe?
Can you recommend us tools to generate leads for?
Your partner?
Yes.
In which country?
France.
Okay. Well, in the EMEA region, especially like, let's say, Middle Europe, whatever, The website is quite important. The website, and also let's say, of course, a lot comes on our website, looks okay, which is a partner close to the region, and then they come to you and they contact you. Have a good contact form, like an emailing, which is easy that the client can contact you. LinkedIn is very, very good. We have partners who highly invest on it. And use, let's say, of course, the branding, like show everywhere you're an Odoo partner, put it like directly on your homepage, kind of, so that everyone sees it directly. And have, let's say, also like maybe like some link for a demo, for even if it's only a call, right? So that the clients can like easily approach you, and that you can have, let's say, an easy call with them, like a first touch, let's say. Okay. Yeah.
Question about offers. Sometimes you have customer having multiple partners for Odoo, or they hesitate between Odoo and another solution. I have a question actually. How much time do you spend on average on offers? And secondly, what is the key points that you make, that you put in the offers to convince customers to choose Odoo rather than other tools?
Well, let's say like this from Odoo perspective. So what our Odoo, offers are from Odoo is in general quite easy. I mean, there's a price which everyone can see on the website. There is no discount. I mean, the price, what we do is kind of a fixed price. There are maybe here and there some margins where we can see, okay, what we can do, depending also how big the client is. But in general, how we do it, we don't invest that much in the offer because it's quite standard. What we do then is that we speak with the client, explain it to the client, also explain him, for example, right now that you have also these, especially for the enterprise, these monthly option. So see, okay, really how is the client doing, and interact there with the client, rather than like really calculating a lot and seeing what you can do best in the price. But of course, I know it, let's say from my partners, you have to see, especially for your services, okay, what hourly rate do you take? What services do you include? Do you make, let's say, try to have, let's say, also different options which you can kind of offer the client to see, okay, how are you paying? What are payment terms, and so on and so on. So of course, for your services, it's a bit more complex, and there you have to see, okay, what is best for the client. But from our side, it's in general quite easy.
What's the key points, the strong advantage of comparing with other tools?
Well, in general, for our business, let's say, or for our offer, it's quite standard. Well, we had, let's say, for the enterprise, it's even easier. It was, let's say, in Europe, it was 25 euros per user per month. You could have everything, and you could use one app, I don't know, 10 apps. It was totally up to you. But in general, it was quite easy. So in general, what we will do now, when we have, let's say, of course, these apps, we have to explain the clients, okay, which apps he really uses and what he has to really do. But this, I think, is fine, and especially for projects where you connect with your partners, you know what the client needs, and you can see, okay, what apps he needs, and then, of course, you put these ones together in the offer. Good. I see we slowly have to finish. If you still have questions, I'm running around. Mostly I'm in the partnership stand, or we can, of course, directly speak if you like. Enjoy all the experience.
Good job.